Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by 𝐬𝐝𝐿 Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, 𝐬𝐝𝐿 Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's Johnny.
Hopefully that makes sense. Not must win, but must win. You know my theory on must win. It's not must win unless you go home. So it is not must win, but it's must win. Stay with me on this. I know it is a Monday, and I know that is very difficult, but there you go. That's what's going on. There's the cover of the show today. You see some JK, who's been really good over the last couple of games. Some Jimmy, who was aggressive in Game 3, and Draymond, who always says he can control himself, but clearly cannot. Thank you for joining us on a Monday edition of the show. There is always a ton to get to, and we appreciate it. We will do roll call in just a second, but welcome in for all those who are watching on a number of different platforms. Now, we're partial to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Please make sure that you come on over, join the community. It is a great community of people. Your opinion does not have to be my opinion. It's cool. All opinions are welcome. Everyone is welcome. Not a bunch of haters and people screaming and yelling and doing all those kind of things. No trolls. We get them out of here quickly, so we have a really good time and keep sports in its proper perspective. Very important, very passionate, but come on, man. Thanks so much for joining us. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, Bay Area Sports Collective as well. Polymac and Polymax Particles will follow me, Tom Tolbert, of course. And I'll be back tonight for Warriors postgame. So please make sure that you, A, subscribe, B, hit that like button so that the algorithm likes us and says, okay, this isn't half bad. And then lastly, that you keep those alerts on or put those alerts on because we'll be on right after the show. Literally, I just the final whistle and I jump on here. We get going for Warriors postgame. So make sure you have your alerts on so that you know that. Again, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, the Bay Area Sports Collective, where Tom Tolbert, Polymac, Rod Brooks, and soon to be more are. So make sure you hit that up as well. Thank you for watching this morning on Instagram at John Lund Radio, on X at John Lund Radio, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can do it on my personal page, John Lund or John Lund Unleashed. So that's the way you get a hold of the show. And again, we'd love it if you were on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. If you'd come over here and subscribe, that would be dandy. It's episode 138. So before we get out and say hello and good morning to the people on this Monday, the Dubs can't go down 3-1. That's why I said it's must win, but not must win, but really must win. Jimmy stepped up. As I said, I talked about this on Friday for the game and on Saturday morning when we did the show, said Jimmy can't be a guy who's going to defer. He had to be the guy that was going to be aggressive. He did that. JK stepped up. It blows my mind, and I get it. I know the analytics. I get it. For those defending Steve Kerr, I get it. I understand the analytics, and I don't need to see the analytics. I understand how a game, an NBA game now needs to be spaced, and JK generally doesn't give you that, but it looked like to me that he's been working on the three, and especially the corner three, and he was hitting shots, and he needs to be in the game, and he scored an easy 30, if that's very possible, but he scored an easy 30, and I find it impossible, not difficult, not improbable, impossible to believe that Jonathan Kaminga and the Warriors couldn't have found some sort of common ground to put him on the court. He's just too good to be sitting on the bench. He's too good for Pat Spencer to be ahead of him in the pecking order. He's too good for Guy Santos to be ahead of him in the pecking order, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of a sudden he fits because he can score and Steph is out. That's too simplistic to me. He should have been in the Houston series. He should have been there at the end of the year. He should have been in the rotation. I get that he was injured. It was hard to fit him in with Jimmy Butler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I understand the analytics, but that's on the Warriors. And they're going to trade him in the offseason, and I have an idea, and you saw this yesterday just like I did. So I have an idea who might be the apple of their eye. So we'll get into that too. But like I said, it's malpractice that they haven't used him. I mean, it's just the way it is. Guy goes out and scores an easy 30, there's a place for him in your rotation. Sorry. It's just really as simple as that. Tonight, and I'm going to play a cut from you with Steve Kerr, which I completely disagree with, and I love Steve, but, talking about all the nice things Pods does, he's got to start shooting the ball. He's open. He's not shooting in rhythm. He's dribbling the hell out of the ball, and then he's chucking up shots. He's got to get it within the context of the offense. We'll discuss that. They need Buddy for more than a half. They got good Buddy in the second half and bad Buddy in the first half. It's not enough to beat Minnesota. Good Edwards is what I put there on the board too. Anthony Edwards is starting to find it. And I said this early in the series. I said, boy, you're getting a break, because in game 1, Anthony Edwards wasn't good. In game 2, he wasn't as good. And I'm grading Anthony Edwards against a high quality of himself. And then finally in game 3, we saw good Anthony Edwards. He scored 28 in the second half. And it was a variety of ways, threes, dunks, all these different things that he did, none bigger than the one when they got the offensive rebound late. Julius Randle kicked it out to Edwards. He hit the 3. That essentially iced the game, but they're getting good Edwards now. And if they have to deal with good Edwards plus Steph is out, that's going to be really tough to win this series. Early in the series, Edwards was not good. Speaking of, we'll hit the offseason a little bit because Giannis's name is out there and he's always been connected with the Warriors. So I would be remiss if I did not mention the latest of what's going on with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Miles Turner is the guy I talked about. I think he would be the number 1 guy on the list right now for the Warriors. He's a free agent at the end of the year, and they may use and would use Jonathan Kaminga picks, other things to possibly get him because they need a stretch big, and he was incredible last night in the first half when the Pacers were blowing out the Cavs. It was 80-39 at the half, so we'll get into that. Dre fouls out. He always says that he can control himself, but after the officials went back to actually look at a different foul, whether Julius Randle committed a foul, they actually saw that Draymond Green held Julius Randle and they called him. And look, there's been holding and grabbing and clutching and all those things in the series. But when they have a replay of it, then they have to call it. And then on the very next possession, Draymond Green shows no discipline whatsoever and fouls out of the game and then runs off the court like he did nothing. And it's like, dude, you committed 2 fouls in 20 seconds. You committed your 5th, 4.5 minutes left in the game. From that point forward, they lose. And I'm not just putting it on him because there's a lot of blame to go around. Plus, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves took that game from the Warriors. So it's, if we play the blame game, I'm not saying it's Draymond Green, but you got to be better than that. Second chance points is why I'm talking about bigs for the Warriors next year, 26-14, -12 in that regard. A Lamont solution, we're solution-based around here. Everybody can bitch and moan and identify the things that are wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. What are you going to bring to the table? Are you ever going to come up with a solution? I have when it comes to Lamont Wade Jr., so we'll do that. Martin is Nick Martin, one of the new draftees for the 49ers. He was identified by Field Yates, and I'll tell you why. NFL schedule release is this week, Wednesday. I love playing the win-loss game. So what they're going to do is, I'll tell you about it because they kind of do it in tiers here, and it'll actually start today. But the overall schedule release is Wednesday, and then Wednesday, I guess Thursday, because we'll do it so early. You know what? I might just do I'm going to do I've decided we're going to do a special on Wednesday when the schedule comes out because I can't wait till Thursday morning to play the win-loss game. And then you can hold me to it. That's a lot of fun. An oldie but a goodie when it comes to the Caboose pistol. I don't think I've ever seen this story. And it was just, when you're on social media and a video comes, then a video will play right after that. And that's what happened here. And I was like, I've never seen this story. So you may have seen it. It's probably 10 to 12 years old, maybe, but I had to play it for you because maybe you missed it too. And then random things happen throughout the show. That. So that's what we got going on today. And if you're new around here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please say hello in the chat room. That would be great just to say hello so we can say hi to you this morning. All right. Hurley Bird at 6 a.m. was up here. He was the first one in the room. Good morning to you. Hurley Bird is here. The skills report, awesome, is here. Don't know if you've had any dreams yet. Yeah, that was not great. Getting swept by the Twins and losing to the Timberwolves. I was going to say, they kind of owe us, but, because they gave us so much stuff and Steph Curry in general, but screw those guys. Good to see you, Baba Booey. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Enrique. It is great to see you, my friend. Joy, always a joy. She answered a lot of questions over the weekend. Joy, I hope you had an amazing Mother's Day, which, by the way, I got to talk about Mother's Day. Dom, it is awesome to see you, my friend. Good morning to you. Don't let me forget because I'll just go ADD. We got to talk about Mother's Day. Jazz fan, it's great to see you. Jake, good morning to you. And again, these are all people that are in the chat room if you want to come over and say hello to everybody. Tough sports weekend, Vrock. I couldn't agree more. As we just said, Minnesota kind of gave it to us. Good morning. Good morning. Scott says like and subscribe. Please do that. That would be advisable and greatly appreciated around here. Chris, it is great to see you, my friend. Kenneth, hello. Good morning to you, my friend. Scott, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Kyle, good morning. Good crew today. John, it is awesome to see you. Catalina, our good friend, is here. Good morning, Tacky. Hello, Tacky is here this morning. Awesome. You tripping? What's going on, man? It's good to see you. You tripping? Very nice. And remember, if you're watching the show a little bit later, good morning and good afternoon, or maybe good evening to you, Nutter, the Nutter. It's always good when the Nutter is here. Who else? If I missed you, I apologize. James is here this morning. Good morning to all, and thank you for making the time for John Lund Unleashed. All right, let's start at the top, episode 138. Remember, you can do supers to guarantee that your stuff gets on the screen. Questions, comments, thoughts, all those kind of things, and they are always greatly appreciated. All right, let's start with this. Can't go down 3-1. So you know my philosophy on people who say that games are, David, good morning, that games are must win when they're not must win. It's not must win. However, with Steph Curry out, and I'll play something from Shams here in a second that played before game 3, if we're being realistic here, and I know that the Warriors have a lot of playoff experience and they can win anywhere, and I understand that. And if they went down 3-1, all they'd have to do is win a game 5 in Minnesota. Then you come back, game 6, Curry comes back. If you're an optimist, he plays really well. Now it's down to a game 7. They just won a game 7 in Houston. So could they pull something crazy off? They could. But realistically, you go down 3-1, losing both games on your home court. Steph Curry is not going to be back until at least game 6. You can't assume, you can't assume that Steph Curry is going to be great when he does come back just right out of the gate. So it'd be highly advisable that the Warriors win tonight. Wouldn't you say? So not must win, but must win. Does that make sense? Not must win, but must win. That's what I'm going to determine it, because I just don't think they can go down 3-1. So let's get into that. But let me just give you an update on Curry. And you probably saw this. And again, this is before game 3 on Saturday. This is what Shams said about Curry in the latest.
In San Francisco, and he's receiving a ton of treatment on that hamstring strain. There's still plenty of work to be done to get him to the point of movement, contact, running, sprinting, and he'll be reevaluated on Wednesday. But until that point, the Warriors' mindset is just to try to win one of these games back in the Bay tonight, game 3, or Monday, game 4, and to try to extend this series to 6 or 7 as much as they possibly can and buy Stephen Curry some time, because internally there is uncertainty, and I'm told the Warriors are really looking at that game 6 as the earliest potential window for Stephen Curry's return. Again, that's at the very earliest.
See, and that's the key right there. Everybody thought, and I did too, when they said, okay, they're going to reevaluate this thing on Wednesday, and then he could play, and that's game 5. And I thought, okay, they win 1, and it's 2-2, and now 5, 6, 7. Now Minnesota would have home court in that situation, but I feel good about the Warriors. But Shams is saying right there, game 6. So they're not going to have him from Wednesday's game either, and that's going to be obviously a major problem. So we'll talk about who needs to step up, who has stepped up, and what kind of psychological games that Steve Kerr is playing a little bit with pods. So we'll get into that. But there's the latest on Steph Curry. Now, I do have something from Anthony Slater here. And again, you may have seen this on social media, but let me just give it to you again. A Curry update over the weekend from Anthony Slater. Went through a court workout, rode the bike pregame yesterday. Wasn't full speed, but it was initial step in his attempted return. The clock is ticking. And I don't look at that as an encouraging sign, because that was on Saturday. Court workout, rode the bike pregame yesterday, wasn't full speed, initial step. So it's an initial step of him. And again, we talked about this. It's a muscle injury. It's not pain tolerance. It's not something they shoot up because they don't want you, not feeling it if it is pulling on you, those kind of things. And we're just assuming because Steph is Steph and he's going to run through that tunnel and he's going to play. We talk about this all the time. It's one thing when a person can play. It's another of how effectively they can play. And the Warriors know that they want to keep this season going, but they don't want to rip Steph's hamstring from the bone and put him out there. And they just have far too much respect. So they're not going to do that with Steph Curry. So if Steph Curry is being honest with them, as much as big of a competitor as he is, if it doesn't respond, it doesn't respond. And I keep saying this, he's 37. He's not Superman. He's 37. If he was 23 or 24, this thing would probably bounce back faster, but it's not, I can play through this, shoot this up, pain tolerance. It's a totally different injury. And he's just starting the process, as Anthony Slater said. So we're going into game 4 tonight, that certainly doesn't sound like he could play by Wednesday, which they've already said he's not. Then you're looking at game 6 if you're already down 3-1, and you may not get a chance. This thing might be 4-1. You may not get a chance if you don't win tonight to have Steph Curry come back at all. So that's the latest as far as Steph Curry is concerned. As far as Jimmy and JK, absolutely great. Jimmy Butler did exactly what Jimmy Butler needed to do. I don't know what else he could have done. He certainly ran out of gas. I would say that. He didn't score in the last 8 minutes, but I can't really fault Jimmy Butler for that. He had 33 points in the game. He had 11 in the first quarter. He had 18 at halftime. He wasn't doing, as we talked about on Friday and Saturday, he wasn't dribbling into the lane and looking for somebody else. He was going to the rim, and he was going aggressively, and he did it early, and he just said, look, everybody else has got to catch up. And really offensively, the only guy who consistently did that was Jonathan Kaminga. And it's malpractice what the Warriors have done with Jonathan Kaminga. They're going to trade him in the offseason. Like I said, I know all the analytics. I know how basketball works. I know how floor spacing works in this version of basketball that we're in for the NBA. I don't care. If a guy can score 30 and is athletic as he is, there's a place for him in the rotation. I don't care. The Warriors aren't that good. And even if they were, there's a place for Jonathan Kaminga ahead of Guy Santos, ahead of Pat Spencer, ahead of Moses Moody, ahead of, he's their second best player right now. And I'm not just saying that because he can score an easy 30, which he did, if there's such a thing, but there is. He scored an easy 30 last time out. And he's showing scrap and he's defending, and he's never going to be, until he bulks up a little bit and really commits to it. He's not a great rebounder. I understand that. But he gives players trouble. He's got a ways to go defensively. There's no doubt he can be inconsistent. His motor can run hot and cold. I understand that. But even with Steph Curry in the lineup, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to figure out this guy, this much talent. But it's not going to happen, and they're going to trade for a big in the offseason and use Jonathan Kaminga as the bait. So whatever it is, it is. But I'm just saying, I'm looking back, and this is really easy for media to do, right? Hindsight's always 20/20, but we've all screamed and yelled about this. We've all seen his talent. Like I said, there was injuries in December. He started 13 games, played 31 minutes a night, scored 20 and grabbed 7. There's a place for him. There just is. And I know, like I said, I know what the analytics say, but if I'm Steve Kerr, I'd say to hell with that. Then he leads my second unit, or there's something this guy can do because he's far too talented to be sitting on our bench. So they are where they are. They're using him now out of necessity, but I'll continue to say, and let's see what he does when he goes somewhere else. I think he'll turn into a really nice player, probably make a couple all-star teams. I'm not saying Jonathan Kaminga is going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that Jonathan Kaminga is a guy that you're going to build around when Steph Curry is gone, because I don't believe that. But I do think that Jonathan Kaminga can be on a really good basketball team and maybe be the third option, that kind of a thing, where he's a really, really nice player, and they talk about a trio of players for a team, and I think Jonathan Kaminga can be that third guy. So there's going to be like a really superstar guy. Then there's going to be there's a Batman, there's a Robin, and then, I wouldn't call him Alfred, but I think he's going to be like a really nice third player who can make some all-star teams. And if he really busts his ass, because he's got the tools to do it, he can defend, he can rebound, he can easily score. I mean, it's laughable how easily he can score. So to this point, look, we are where we are, but this will always go down in history. This isn't a James Wiseman situation. This isn't a Trey Lance situation. This isn't the guy couldn't play. The guy can play. And it's your job as an organization to figure out what he does well enough where you can get him on the floor. Because if I see Pat Spencer tonight, if I see Moses Moody tonight, I will literally puke into a bucket. I've had it. Like Moses Moody, it's just not working this playoffs. His size, his length, he's not shooting it, whatever the case may be. And I'm getting to the point with Podziemski. I get it. He scraps, he takes charges, he gets rebounds, he does all the little things in a basketball game. I understand that. But he can't throw it into the ocean right now. And you're on the verge of losing your season. So I know that Steve Kerr is going to play him 38 to 40 minutes tonight. He's just going to trust him. But we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, who wants to play here? Who's going to step up here? Here's Jimmy post-game about him being aggressive and the different mindset he had in Game 3.
Just get a win. If we don't win, we damn sure don't have to worry about getting Steph back this year. So we got to, put our big boy pants on and go out there and compete at a high level and get this one on Monday. And then we can worry about the next one after that. But, get some rest, recover, dominoes, coffee, kids.
Throw the kids out of there. Tell them to get out of the room. No, I mean, he's got a great mentality, and I don't know what Jimmy is like behind the scenes. I don't know that he's fire and brimstone and all those kind of things. But if I'm Jimmy Butler and we're on the verge of going down 3-1, and Steph Curry can't really give an impassioned speech being injured, and I'll get to Draymond Green in just a second. Jimmy Butler's got to be the guy to just, I don't know, getting in the face of anybody. That really isn't the thing anymore. But to just say, look, man, did you see what I just did there? I decided that I was going to step my game up, and he scored 33. And again, he was gassed by, he needed help offensively. And in the last 8 minutes, he was gassed. You could tell, and he didn't score. I'm not going to hold that against him. They got outscored 33-24 in the fourth quarter. They ran out of gas. And one of the reasons why is Jimmy got help from JK, and he got a half out of Buddy Hield. That's just not good enough. It's not good enough in this game. Buddy Hield's got to be better. So let's get to the Jimmy, JK, and part of this thing, and that's where they need Buddy for a full game. They need Game 7 Buddy from the Houston series. They need second half Buddy from Game 1. They need second half Buddy from last time. They need a full game. So put those two halves together, Buddy. They need a Steph Curry-ish kind of performance. He's not Steph Curry, I'm not saying that, but he's got to be out of the gate hitting some threes. He's got to open things up for other guys. He's got to, score 20 and 10 each half. You've got to be a threat. I can't just get you for spurts. Once we're down so much, then Buddy hits a few, and then now they're coming uphill because they got to within 62-55, but they were just so gassed from doing it. So it's constantly fighting back. So they need Buddy for a full game. And then here's Steve Kerr talking about Brandon Podziemski, and I just disagree with it, but I know what he's doing. I tell you this all the time. It becomes about mental warfare in these games. So I tell you about how the coaches go after the officials to a certain extent, but stop short of the line of getting fined so that they can potentially get a call or two. There's really no point in Steve Kerr coming out and saying Brandon Podziemski's shot is broken. He's forcing it, it being negative against him, because he knows him better than we do, certainly better than I do. And certain guys, respond better to candy than they do criticism. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so Steve knows that. So if he felt like I think he needed to criticize Podziemski, he would. He loves Podziemski, but at this stage, it's like, okay, what can I say? Because remember, they're using the media to get back to their players because they're all on social media and they all know what Steve's going to say. They'll watch it on their phone. What's Steve saying about me? So Podziemski clearly is a guy that works better, like I said, with candy than criticism. So here's Steve after the game talking about Pod's performance so far.
And we're in here with a win. Nobody cares that he didn't score a lot. So
let me replay this part.
Bounce the other way, and we're in here with a win. Nobody cares that he didn't score a lot. So
okay, let me stop it just for a second, which tells you exactly what Steve is saying and why he's, like I said, using candy. He said, in terms of pods, he says, if we win the game, then no one's in there criticizing that he wasn't scoring. The reason you lost the game, because he wasn't scoring. So if Podziemski was, in other words, if Podziemski was better, we would have won the game and no one would be talking about it. That's what he just said. It makes no sense whatsoever. But we're the media and we're not going to say anything. But I watched that and I went, wait a minute. You just said if shots would have went in for Podziemski, we would have won and no one would be talking about this. Exactly. They didn't go in. So like I said, I like the fact that he gets rebounds. I'm not oblivious to the fact that he's a good, scrappy defender. And he is unlike some players on the team that when their shot's not going in, they don't do a whole heck of a lot. So you got to take him out of the game. Buddy Hield has been that kind of player in the past. I'll give Buddy credit. He's defended better. His effort is better. He's trying. He generally throughout his career has been a player that if he's not hitting threes, then what would you say you do here? But he's been better in that regard. Podziemski does a lot of other things. I get it, especially for a team that is challenged from a size perspective and rebounding perspective. Pods does a nice job at doing that, but he's got to start hitting shots. Since he scored 26 against Houston, his shot has been atrocious. He's something like, off the top of my head, 6 for his last 26. And it's not only that, if you're watching the game, it's pound, dribble, bad shot. That's what he's doing. He's trying to get himself in a rhythm with his dribble. And it's like, no, move the ball. And then when it comes back to you in a natural fashion, you take the shots that made you successful at the end of the year. In April, he averaged over 17 points a game, shooting 51% from the field and 48% from three. And I said over and over and over again, if this is the guy they get in the playoffs, they're going to be nasty to deal with. They're not getting that guy. They got him once in the Houston series with 26. They haven't gotten him since. And what's happening is clearly he's a young player that is pressing, because if you watch him on the court, he's absolutely shot hunting. And he's like, okay, I'll get myself in rhythm this way. No, you have to do it within the context of the offense. And with Steph on the floor, he was getting a lot of open looks, and that's where my concerns were. He was getting a lot of open looks because of the floor tilt of Steph, and he was still missing those shots. And even in this series, he's not shooting a ton of contested shots. He's getting open shots. He's just missing them. So I get it that he does other things, but he's got to help this team. Jimmy Butler was gassed from carrying the team and didn't score in the last 8 minutes. He's got to help. They've got to help him. I think Kaminga is going to go for 20. To think that, that was the wasted game in game 3. Kaminga gets 30. Jimmy Butler gets you 33. That's kind of the Batman Robin kind of a thing. So you got the 30 that you might get from Steph. You got it. But in the last 5 minutes of the game, you lost. You couldn't close that game. You're the veteran team. One of the reasons you lost. And like I said, there's a blame game to be played. Anthony Edwards played great. But this is where I would take exception with Draymond Green. Draymond didn't play very well in this game. Defensively at times, certainly he did. Certainly at times in the playoffs he has. But Julius Randle had a triple-double. They dominated inside, 26-14 on second chance points. That's directly attributed to the guy playing center, which most of the time is Draymond Green. He's got to finish possessions. That's great that he's doing what he's doing, and he's played great defense at times in this series and in the playoffs. There's no question. But if you're screaming and yelling that you should be Defensive Player of the Year, part of being and playing defense is finishing the possession, which is rebounding, and they're getting badly out-rebounded in this series. And like I said, they were minus 12 on second chance points. To me, that's a lot on Draymond Green. And then Draymond Green, who tells me that he can control himself, gets a fifth foul, which it's just unfortunate because Minnesota goes back and looks because Julius Randle was called for a foul. On that foul, Draymond Green grabs his jersey. How many times have jerseys been grabbed of Steph Curry, of Buddy Hield, of Podziemski, of just generally Buddy or Jimmy Butler? We saw a bunch of times. Constant clutching, grabbing, hugging all the time. And they've allowed it in these playoffs in every series. But when they catch it on a replay, they have no recourse but to call it. I mean, that's just how it is. So he gets his fifth. Agree with it or not, he gets his fifth. On the very next possession, Jaden McDaniels is going underneath for a layup. I know that's not in your nature, but in your head, you've got to think to yourself, I got to let him have this one. I got to let him have this one. Oh, sorry. I didn't even take Steve off the board there. I got to let him have the layup. I got 5 fouls. I can't foul out. He's got to have that in his head. No sooner had Tim Legler said, Draymond's smart. He knows how to play with 5 fouls, that Draymond commits the foul with 4.5 minutes left, and just coincided with the fact that Minnesota took over from there.
To the corner, shot clock at 7. McDaniels puts it on the floor, missed the dunk. Draymond Green just fouled out. And Steve Kerr does not have a challenge. 4:38 to go. Green's night is over.
It's on him, 100% on him. When he talks about the discipline that he has to not get technical fouls, to not get flagrant fouls, it just seems like in this series, whether it's a technical, whether it's a flagrant, whether it's not controlling his body, whether it's a play like that, I get it. Your natural inclination is, I got to stop this layup. It's 84-82 with 4:38 left. He gets that layup, you're down 4, you're fine. But you can't foul out. And I know in the moment you can't think that, but look, you just committed number 5. They did a replay, so you were settled down and everything, and they call you for 5. Going down the court on the other end, you know it's in Draymond's head going, okay, I got 5, I got to be careful here. Got 5, got to be careful here. There was a moment where the game stopped to give you that 5th foul. So it wasn't like within the flow and you're redlining and you get that 5th foul and you're pissed off and you walk to the other end. The game stopped on that replay. And you got your 5th foul. Then on the very next possession, you go down the floor and commit your 6th. You know you can't do that. You know you can't. So it's not on Draymond Green fully. It's on guys who weren't helping out, Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kaminga. There was a number of different things. Second chance points, fourth quarter, they just got gas. That's just what happened. I mean, and then you got to give Anthony Edwards a ton of credit because the first couple of games, like I said, and it's unfortunate, could be up 2-0 in the series because Anthony Edwards wasn't very good. But then he scored 28 in the second half, and now he's kind of found his rhythm. He's going to the rim now. He's shooting threes now. He's feeling really good about himself. He's ultra confident. Julius Randle, massively underrated. When he first came to the Timberwolves, it was like, he traded Karl Anthony Towns for this guy? throws up a triple-double. He's all over the boards. Rudy Gobert, they're not making Rudy Gobert pay on the offensive end like they usually do. Pull him out of there. They're not making him do that. So they're making a lot of mistakes. Still turnovers, especially in the first half at key times. They're having a fight uphill against Minnesota the whole time, which is gassing them. And that's kind of the combination of things. So tonight, real simple. Need the same Jimmy Butler, same aggressiveness from Jimmy Butler. I hesitate to say that they need 30 points from Jonathan Kaminga, but he's the one kind of that I think can make up the scoring for Steph Curry. So if he can give him 20, that'd be nice. They need 2 halves, not one, from Buddy Hield. They've gotten in game 1 of this series, they got a half. Last time out, they got a half. I'm not going to say he needs to score 33 again like he did against Houston, because I don't know that he's capable of doing that, not on a consistent basis. But like 20 from Buddy Hield, 10 and 10, each half. Just be consistent. Need to see that kind of a Buddy Hield tonight. And then Podziemski's got to find his shot somehow. Again, I don't need him to go, 6 of 8 from three-point land or something like that, but contribute. 15, 17 points, hit a couple of threes when you're wide open like that, because right now he's just scuffling with his shot, and he's hurting the offense because he's trying to hunt his own shot. Sometimes Clay would get into those kind of situations where, hey, the shot's not going, I'm going to hunt shots. That's what it feels like with Podziemski. He's pushing it. He's hunting shots. Just within the flow of the offense and just relax. And here's one thing I tell all of the Warriors. You don't have to jack threes just because you're open from 3. There's a reason you're open. Go to the rim. A lot of times with Jonathan Kaminga, as great as I have seen him play, and you have seen him play over the last couple of games, there's some times where it's like there's no one within 10 feet. 2 dribbles, mid-range jumper. That's your game. I mean, you can hit some corner threes. That's nice. But your game is mid-range and then driving in. If they're going to give you that kind of time, use it like a runway. Anthony Edwards does. Are you going to play off me? I'll use this as a runway, and I'll just get to the rim. Those kind of things. Podziemski, the ball's not falling. Steph does this all the time. Okay, you're going to run at me at the three-point line. I'm just going to go right by you. He can handle the ball. Get a couple of layups early in the game. He's even missing like teardrop shots that he normally hits. He has no confidence shooting the ball right now. See a couple of early ones go in. Go to the rim. Get fouled. Some of those things. The Warriors are sometimes get obsessed with the three-point shot. In the first half, it was amazing. They went 0 of 5 from three-point land because they were focusing on just getting to the rim and dominating the paint. And they did that in the first half. So they didn't hit a 3 in the first half. They're right in the game. It was 42-40. They led at the half, 42-40. Did not have a three-pointer made. So as much as we are three-point crazy in this league, I'm not saying you can go 0 and win a basketball game nowadays, because you can't. But you were up 42-40 at the half and didn't have a 3. So get to the rim, play in the paint. They'll give you those shots. And I'm talking about Podziemski. Like, get a couple of early shots. See a couple go down. Go to the rim, get to the free throw line. See a free throw go down. Something like that. He's got to gain his confidence in some way. And it can't just be, I'm going to jack threes, dribble, try to get my rhythm, and not move the ball. I mean, you're going, dude, dribble. Move the ball. He wasn't doing any of that kind of stuff. So anyway, they've got to do that. And then, like I said, just before last game, tighten it up. You don't have Steph Curry. That means you have less margin for error. So tighten things up, less turnovers. Got to crash the glass tonight. Like I said, it's not must win, but it's must win. So give me your thoughts on the Warriors tonight against the Timberwolves. Huge game. Could be for the season, I think. So Jimmy, JK, and ? Need Buddy and Pods. Good Edwards, that scares me because he's starting to gain confidence. We're to the Giannis and Turner part of the program. And the reason why I bring up Giannis's name is because I know you're going to. So I thought I would just do that first. Now, here's the deal of what's going on. So let me give you a little backdrop here. And you know this, but I'm just going to explain it for some people. For years and years and years, people have just obsessed over Giannis Antetokounmpo and said he's going to come to the Warriors. And, any video that he mentions the Warriors, oh, look at that. And he's just kind of been one of those guys that Warriors fans have obsessed over for a long time. And it kind of calmed down once Jimmy came here, because it was like, well, Jimmy's a pretty good fit. Why would we need Giannis now? Giannis is not a shooter. He's a guy that's going to be in the mid-range. If like JK was here, those two are, I'm not going to say they're redundant because Giannis is much better, but they play kind of in the same spaces of the floor on the offensive end. So it comes out today. Shams reported this morning on ESPN. Giannis has not made any firm decisions, but for the first time in his career, he's open-minded about whether his best fit is remaining in Milwaukee. It's not. Damian Lillard's got an Achilles, and he's out for next year. Chris Middleton is long gone. Brook Lopez is a free agent. They're about ready to go down the tubes or playing elsewhere. If I'm Milwaukee, I would entertain this for the first time as well because I can use Giannis to possibly get a bunch of picks and get better. And if you look at the roster right now, it's Giannis and not a whole heck of a lot else. So I would imagine that Warriors fans would, Giannis. Now, here's the only way I see Giannis coming to the Warriors. Let's say they lose this series as they are, and they're down 4 and they lose 4-1, and Joe Lacob is pissed off. And he's going, okay, I gave Jimmy the extension. I'm going to be back in the luxury tax in a major, major way. And yet we are out of the playoffs in the second round. That's not good enough. And you could use Jimmy Butler because he and Giannis have the exact same amount of money on their contract next year, $54.1 million. They're an exact match. Now, that's not going to be enough for Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee's going to look at – there are 2 teams that are emerging and it makes sense, San Antonio, who's got a ton of young talent, and they want to put around – their big 3 would be Giannis, De'Aaron Fox, and obviously Victor Wembanyama, which would be pretty amazing. And they've got a bunch of young talent. They had the Rookie of the Year this year. They wouldn't want to give him up, but look, it's Giannis. So they've got a bunch of young talent on their team. They could give it up to Milwaukee, some first-round picks. Milwaukee could jumpstart their restart. Houston's been talked about. Jalen Green. I saw this morning where they reiterated, we like Jalen Green. Whatever. That's just leverage. If a guy like Giannis, who's only 30, became available to Houston, I think that they would take some of their young talent. A guy like Jalen Green, others, first-round picks, and that could jumpstart things in Milwaukee. So I'm not sure that the Warriors could come up with the best package, but it would be something along the lines of Butler, who matches exactly, but again, he's older, so Milwaukee's going, well, where do we win there? But then you would put Kaminga in that deal, picks, maybe Podziemski. I mean, would Podziemski, Kaminga, and Butler get something done for Giannis? Would you even be down with that? I mean, that's a heck of a lot to give up. I'm not as high on Podziemski as everybody else seems to be. I like Brandon. He's a really nice player. He's going to be a high-end role player in his career. There's no doubt about it. I think in a season, he's going to top out at 16, 17, 18 points a game. He'll grab you 6 or 7 boards. He'll dish out 5, 6 assists. I mean, he's a nice player. He can help you win a lot of basketball games. He's good. I like him. Last offseason, when I heard that he was untouchable in the Lauri Markkanen trade talks, I laughed because I'm like, he's not an untouchable. First of all, again, philosophically, no one is untouchable. Not in my world, not in my book. But certainly he is not that of that ilk. He's not that caliber of a player. Kaminga, you weren't going to use anyway, so what's the point? And Giannis is going to play in the mid-range into the rim, so Kaminga wouldn't fit anyway, so you're going to give him away. So all of a sudden, your big 3 next year would be Giannis, Draymond Green, Steph Curry. Again, is that better than Butler and Kaminga and Podziemski? Maybe. And he's only 30 years old, so you could conceivably build around him into the future. So would they rather go Houston? Would they rather go San Antonio? Would the Warriors really give up that much? Like, is Kaminga and Butler and picks enough? Probably not. Not given what San Antonio, Houston, and some other teams could potentially give up. So, we'll see. But I just know that people are going to bring up Giannis's name because they brought it up a ton in the past. And if they don't win this series against Minnesota, which at this point I'm doubting they will, and they lose, again, 4-1 or something like that, Joe Lacob's going to go, okay, I gave up all this money. I am back into the tax. I just gave him a big extension, and I'm out in the second round. No, we got to be better. So I can see something like that. I could see them at least getting involved. Could they get him? I don't know. But I could see them getting involved. Short of that major swing, the other guy that's making a ton of sense right now, and if you watch the first half of the Pacers and the Cavaliers, and now the Pacers are up 3-1, and they're absolutely dismantling Cleveland. It was 80-39 at the half, and so they show these highlights. Now, remember, they need a stretch big in the offseason, and Miles Turner is about as good as it's going to get. It feels like he's been in the league 20 years. He's been here forever, got drafted in 2015, but he's still only 27 years old. Can do it on both ends of the court, can block shots. He's big at like 6'10", 6'11", and he can shoot it. And so he would be perfect. You want to give up, I don't know what the Pacers think of Jonathan Kaminga, but you want to give up something to match the contracts. Jonathan Kaminga, some picks. I think Miles Turner would be worth it. He's been rumored forever. But watch the end of the first half if you don't watch a lot of Pacers basketball. So it's not only do they crush the Cavaliers in the first half 80-39, watch the final few minutes of the half in terms of Miles Turner and imagine him on the Warriors next year.
The work to the corner. Shot clock at 7. McDaniels puts it on the floor. Missed the dunk.
Oh, wait a minute. Wrong one. This is it. Sorry. The courts look very similar. Here we go. This is it.
Turner. Offensive brilliance from the Pacers.
Position where maybe they can take a commanding lead in this series.
Not existent the other night. Has got his feistiness and his mojo back here in Game 4. As we hit the final 60 seconds, Nesmith out of Turner. It's a 15-2 Pacers run, and they smell blood in the water. Turner! Basket. Final 3 seconds of the half. Nesmith gets a clean up, and he hits it. Why not?
So 80-39, but 3 of those threes at the end of the half there were authored by Miles Turner, especially the one that I love, that step back. I mean, could you imagine a 6'11" dude on the Warriors with Steph and Jimmy on the inside and Turner on the outside? And man, I mean, that would be ridiculous. Now he's a free agent. So all he has to do is say, look, Indiana, I'm not signing with you. Let's do a sign and trade. And then they do the best they can. Now, look, there's going to be a lot of teams in the league going, I want that guy. That guy that just ended the half with a step back 3 and 3 threes in the final minute of the game, of the half. And it was 80-39. That guy, yeah. I mean, there's going to be no shortage of shooters. Like I said, he's still in his late 20s. Even though he's been around forever, he can block shots on the other end of the court. I'm not saying he's like a stopper type of a defender, but he's not terrible. And he's a great shooter on one end, and he's giving you size at 6'11", and he can move like that. I mean, he's in the prime of his career. So he's been talked about for a long, long time as somebody that the Warriors could eye. But, you know, as much as I give the Warriors grief for not playing Jonathan Kaminga and not figuring out a way to use his talents, which it's on them, and I think it's malpractice. I don't care. Again, I know it. If you're just joining the show, I know what the stats say. I know what the numbers say. I know that he can, supposedly can't play with these guys. I understand how basketball works and floor spacing and all those kind of things. And he doesn't fit with Jimmy, doesn't fit with Steph, doesn't fit with Dre. Like, I get it. But if you're going to use him to get that. Because you're getting badly out rebounded. A 6'11" guy would help. 26-14 on second chance points, minus 12. That's what lost you the game to Minnesota, amongst other things that we've talked about. You get that guy on your team, and you start him with Steph Curry. And now maybe you have to give up Pods in that deal. I don't know, but you certainly have to give up Kaminga, and then you have to make the numbers fit in terms of a new contract for him. But that's a guy that you'd look at and you'd say, okay. And again, I don't know what Indiana thinks of Jonathan Kaminga, because they've got guys like Ben Mathurin and they've got Halliburton, and they got a lot of guys that can play the 2, the 3, those kind of positions. So I don't know if they would like him. It just comes down to, what do you think of Kaminga? And if he won't sign with you, then I don't know how much leverage you have if you're Indiana. There's a lot to that. All I'm simply saying that as far as a fit on the floor is concerned, when you'd have a guy like Jimmy, and you'd have Turner, and you'd have Curry, you'd have Draymond. I mean, now you've got to stretch big. Hey, Draymond, don't worry about shooting your threes. Let's just let's keep that to the adults in the room, and that would be a guy like Miles Turner, as you saw right there. That was unbelievable. By the way, let me share my screen with you when it comes to the Warriors and what they've done so far in the playoffs. I was looking at that this morning. Postseason. So as you can see right there, Steph's out. Jimmy's at 20. He upped that, and he's going to up that. Buddy Hield, 12-9. Kaminga, 12-2, which is greatly exaggerated because he's gotten some minutes. It's not the 9-6 that bothers me. It's not the 8-5, but let's start looking at guys and the fact of how they're shooting. So, Jimmy's Jimmy. Buddy Hield is just totally hit and miss, that stuff. Kaminga's absolutely crushing it. This is where it hurts on Pods, and this is really the rest of the team. So you got Kaminga, you got Hield, you got Butler. Those are the 3 guys right there that got to be great tonight. Pods, 34% from the floor, 32% from 3. And again, you got a Houston game in there, which is really good. Draymond, love you, man. Stop. 27.1%. The corner 3, I'm cool with. All these other ones, especially when you hit early, I don't need to see Moses Moody again. 34%, and I'm rounding up, 31% from 3. Just does not have it. Defender, no thanks. Not going to play. I'd like to see more TJD. I was surprised we didn't see more of him in game 3. Post has fallen out, even though he could help his shooting could help against Gobert, so I wouldn't say that he's totally out of the rotation and whatever. So that's what's killing him right there is, and I get it. Look, it's harder in the playoffs, but you're looking at guys who normally are better shooting the basketball. Pods, 34, Draymond, Moses Moody. They're just not getting done. That's misleading. He doesn't take a lot of shots. So look, they've just got to have better efficiency tonight to try to keep their season alive realistically. And again, I'm not going to call it must win because it's not, but realistically, that's how they got to keep their season alive. So that's where we are on episode 138. Can't go down 3-1. Jimmy, JK, and who else is going to help on a consistent basis? It's got to be Buddy for more than a half. Pods has got to find his shot. Nervous that good Edwards is starting to show up for Minnesota. In the offseason, I know people are going to talk Giannis. I think Miles Turner, just watching that game last night, second chance points, huge. I'm sure Steve Kerr has that on the board tonight. They were minus 12 in game 3. The Dre foul out, he's just got to be smarter. Like tonight, for example, he can't freak out. You can't miss a game. You can't get a technical. You can't get a flagrant. You got to know where you are as far as this situation is concerned. It's absolutely critical he keeps his head tonight. Cannot foul out. Cannot get dumb fouls. So that's where we are on the Warriors. I'll get to the Giants, the NFL. Great, old, but still great. Doesn't mean it's not great. Caboose Pistol today. We'll do that momentarily, but let's say hello to everybody. Yeah, look, I always liked Moses Moody, and thanks for the hit up, Deluxe. I liked Moody because he didn't make mistakes. His game was mature beyond his years. He was a fairly good defender for his size. But what's happening in the playoffs is it's just a whole nother level, and his lack of length, not as athletic. Here I am sitting, saying someone's not athletic. I'm not athletic, but his athleticism, all those kind of things, his shortcomings are being exposed against two teams in Houston and Minnesota that are really, really athletic and have length, and he just doesn't fit the series. Now, he could fit a series if they move on in the series somehow. He could fit certain series, but he's just not going to fit this one. And so if Steve Kerr puts him on the floor, I'm like, what are we doing? If he puts Pat Spencer on the floor, what are we doing? Like, you're at the critical point of the season, and, this happens in every single sport. If I'm getting beat, I'm getting beat with my best. That's why it drives me freaking crazy when a pitcher who's got, 102-mile-an-hour gas tries to fool someone and he hangs a slider. Like, dude, if I'm getting beat, I'm getting beat with my best. You hit 102 and I put it low and away and you take me out of the yard 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿, I'll live with it because I just gave you my best. My best is not Pat Spencer. My best is not Moses Moody. And the season is on the line tonight. You go down 3-1 going back to Minnesota, you're not winning this series. So you got to treat this like a game 7 if you're Steve Kerr. And if Moses Moody's on the floor tonight, there's nothing I can do from my couch, but I'll scream and yell and curse. It's the best I can do. We don't need to see that. We don't, man. What else? Hello, Nathan. It is great to see you, my friend. Very nice to see you. But that Halliburton shot is so funky, man. It always trips me out every time I see it, man. Yeah, I thought the Cavs, they just got blown out. How crazy is that? Yeah, that's a great call right there. The Holiday trade was I love Damian Lillard, but we go to fit a lot of times. That just was not a fit. It was just never a fit. Holiday, great defender, all-around player. That's what Pods could be. Pods could be that kind of a guy who's rebounding, defending, scoring a little bit. Holiday's a better player. He's more athletic. He's big and strong too for his size. He's become and has become for years. For years he's been doing this. He's been absolutely great. That's what Pods would aspire to, but he's just the all-around guy. Holiday just helps you win games. That's what he does. You need this? He's a Swiss Army knife kind. You need me to score? I can score. Need me to dish? I can dish. Need me to defend a certain guy? Yeah, I can defend, 1, 2, 3s, maybe even 4s at times. The guy's great. He helps you win. Bobby Portis is going to be a guy the Warriors probably look at. Like I said, I'd like Miles Turner, but I wouldn't be surprised if they said to Bobby Portis, "What's up?" I wouldn't be surprised at all at that. Good morning, Pine. It is great to see you. Did I see Pine this morning? Maybe not. Anyway, there you go on that front. So there's your Warriors update. If you missed all the stuff we talked about in the Warriors, we did about 50 minutes on the Warriors today. If you missed anything, either go back to the beginning of the show. If you're watching later, that's great too. I will put the chapters up. Now all you got to do is click on the chapters. We do that on YouTube only. on the Bay Area Sports Collective and John Lund Unleashed. So we put those chapters up, and then you can click on and listen or watch whatever you want. By the way, we do a couple of things after the show. We put the show up. We do a bunch of shorts. We send those out, so make sure you have your alerts on. And we put those chapters up. And also, if you want to listen to the show, we put it up on Apple and Spotify right after the show as well as other places as far as podcasts are concerned. But those are the main two. So that's why we say that. Anything else before we move on to some Giants and Niners news? Here for the Niners talk. All right, that's what we'll do. Thank you very much. Hi, Mike. From Kentucky. Here for the Niners talk. Gabe Davis in for a visit. What do you guys think? Great question. Thank you. And I didn't put it on the chalkboard. Gabe Davis, obviously in Buffalo, was an amazing receiver. Not so much in Jacksonville, but he had some injuries. I have no problem with Gabe Davis. With Brandon Ayuk out, Demarcus Robinson's okay. Jennings is going to the final year of his deal. Love Juwan Jennings. We don't know what Ricky Pearsall is. I don't care if it's Kyle Shanahan. If you went up to Kyle Shanahan as we speak and said, hey, what do you think of Ricky Pearsall? He'd say, if he was being honest, I hope he's good. I hope he lives up to his draft status. But I don't know. I mean, he got shot last year. He missed training camp. He had some really good games and a nice play against Tampa Bay. I like the kid. He's got the size at about, 6 foot, 6'1", 190. Ran a flat 4.4. He's got speed. He's got great route running ability. Seems like he has great hands. Seems like he has some run after the catch ability. I like him. But nobody on God's green earth can say whether Ricky Pearsall is going to be good or not. Not Ricky, not Kyle, not anybody. We don't know. I mean, he showed flashes last year, but, and I say this all the time. Anybody who's a professional will show you a flash. It's the whole reason. That's why they're here. Professional sports is about consistency. That's why Buddy Hield drives me through a freaking wall. I don't want 0 in the first half and 15 in the second. I want 10 and 10. I want to be consistent. I talk about this. I want you in the bank. I want to know what I get from you. Even if you suck ass, I just want to know. Okay, you suck. I'll put you in this category, and I know when to use you and when not to use you. Okay, you're really good. So you're in the bank, Jimmy Butler. I don't want every once in a while. I saw that so you can do it. Some people, they have a totally different viewpoint of that than me. When I see somebody be good for a minute or two, a game or two, a half or two, a play or two, it pisses me off because I go, there it is. I saw it. It's kind of like that meme in that Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he points at the TV, that meme. Like, I just saw you do it. I just saw you do it. You're good. But professional sports is about consistency. A lot of times, and that's why the first round drives you crazy, because teams draft off off of potential. A bad word, which people use as a good word, but it's a bad word, means you haven't gotten there yet. You haven't done it. Well, he's got a lot of potential. Didn't fulfill his potential. Potential means you haven't done it yet. So it's actually a bad word that people use as a good word. And I look at Ricky Pearsall, and I saw him do it some. I saw him make some really good plays. I also saw him make some bad and stupid plays. So I don't know what Ricky Pearsall is going to be. So, yeah, back to your point, Gabe Davis, I don't have any. I think it's a good signing. I think it's low risk. You're not going to have to pay him a bunch of money. So, yeah, I'm fine with Gabe Davis since you asked. Since you did that, I'll skip the Giants for 2 seconds, I'm going out of order here, which I often don't do. But I just want to pop this up here because they had rookie minicamp last week, and this is from Field Yates, who a lot of people like on ESPN, and he put 10 on offense and 10 on defense that were going to have major roles on their team this year that weren't first-round picks. 10 on offense, 10 on defense, non-first-round picks that had an impact on their team. Brings up Nick Martin, the linebacker out of Oklahoma State, says, you can read, blah, 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 Dre Greenlaw, blah, 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 electric speed, fearless nature on every snap, showed legitimate pass rush instincts too with 6 sacks, injured most of 24, 140 tackles in 23, most by an Oklahoma State player since 1984. I can tell you, as you look at that size, it's 6 foot. He's not 197, by the way. He's not 6 foot 197. That's inaccurate. He's about 220. So I don't know where he got that number. He's not 6 foot 197, or he would not be playing linebacker. But he's 6 foot and he's about 220. But see that electric speed? Everything but his size reminds me of Fred Warner, because and I'm not saying he's going to be that. Stay with me for a second. Fred Warner, when he came out of BYU, was listed at 6'2" or 6'3", whatever he is, 236. So he had good size. But I watched a ton of BYU football that year, and he played basically the star position. So it was kind of a combo between a safety and a linebacker. And it was weird. And they're like, okay, we think he can be a middle linebacker. I think they look at the same thing as far as Nick Martin is concerned. They see a lot of speed, and he can cover a lot of ground. And the modern day linebacker, as you know, you've got to fill space, no doubt. But this is where a lot of fans get confused. They watch the highlights of linebackers coming out, and they're like, man, look at him. He can cover ground. He can move forward. It's not about moving forward. A lot of guys can do that. That's why they drafted the two big defensive tackles inside, is that those two guys in CJ West and Alfred Collins, eventually, Collins is 6'6", 332. I hope he can keep his pads down. And CJ West is listed at 6'1", 317. So what those two guys are going to do, philosophically, they're changing things, the Niners. They just want those guys to occupy blockers so that speed can come through and make plays. Mustafa, when he comes back, missile. Nick Martin, missile. Fred Warner, missile. They want guys getting through cracks and making plays in the backfield. And they want those two guys to control those blockers so that guys like, Mikael Williams and Bosa and all, and the speed and missile seeking abilities of these guys can get through the cracks that those guys up front provide. So Nick Martin's about 220 pounds at 6 foot, but he's got really good speed. So hopefully he can be on the field. But the problem for lots of fans is they love the going forward part, and they don't think about the going backwards part. Can you cover? Well, Nick Martin's a speed guy. Nick Martin is kind of that, again, he's that combination safety linebacker size guy. And that's what they're looking for. Can you play in space? That's what a linebacker has to do. That's great. You can come forward and you can get through that crack and you can stop that running back on a 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2. That's big. But the majority of your role in today's NFL is, can you cover a back? Can you cover a tight end? You might have to cover a slot. It just depends. Those crossing routes in front of you, can you make a tackle in that space? That's what linebackers have to do now. And a lot of guys, that was the problem with Reuben Foster. I met among many of Reuben Foster, but I just remember being down at 49ers HQ, and it was it was right after rookie minicamp. So it wasn't quite training camp yet. It was the last OTA or something. And we're watching Reuben Foster, and I'm seeing him come forward. I'm like, man, this is exciting. Look at him, man. He can burst through. He looks really good. And then they went to passing drills, and the first one was kind of like an arrow route by a tight end. So like that, and out and in. And Reuben Foster fell on his ass. And then the next one, 𝐬𝐨𝐫𝐿, and it was like he had no chance against 𝐬𝐿. It just happened again and again and again. It was like, uh-oh, guy can go forward really well. Guy can't play in space. And so even though Reuben Foster did his own undoing off the field, on the field, that was a problem. And remember, the Niners traded up to get him, and it was like you saw from the first OTA, you're like, uh-oh, this is not good. So hopefully Nick Martin is the kind of guy that can play in space, is my point. NFL schedule-wise, and then we'll get to some Giant stuff. Now, here's the deal, all right? Here's the deal for this week in the NFL schedule. I love NFL schedule release. I love playing the win-loss game. I don't know how good I am at it, but here's what they're going to do. So this has already been done, so I should check this. Monday on the Today Show. So the NFL schedule release is Wednesday, but how they'll do this is, so the NBC schedule, which is Sunday night, is going to be released on the Today Show, or has been. Fox is going to release their games on Monday, so we'll start to be able to piece this thing together. Prime Video, which everybody loves, releases on Monday as well. ESPN, their games will be on Good Morning America, because that's ABC. They are one and the same, and they're owned by Mickey and Disney. So they're together. So that's Good Morning America on Tuesday. CBS morning, who knew they had a CBS morning show, but they do. They're going to be releasing their NFL schedule on Wednesday, and then Netflix on Wednesday, and then everything on Wednesday evening. So Wednesday is going to be the release. And so what we'll do is, I just thought of this. We're not waiting until Thursday morning to play the win-loss game. We will play the win-loss game on Wednesday night, because that's just how it is. We got to do one, right? Because I love the win-loss game. So there you go. So that's what the schedule is going to be. The release of the schedule will be Wednesday, but as they do that along the way, so NBC, Fox, and Prime today will know those games. Tomorrow, ESPN will do it on Good Morning America, their game. CBS will do it Wednesday morning, Netflix on Wednesday, and then Wednesday evening, everything will be released. And then underneath there, you see the international games. So there you go. There's your international game. So that's what's going to happen as far as the schedule release. Everybody gets really excited. We're going to win this. We're going to lose that. You know what's going to be funny? I'll make a prediction. 49ers have a ridiculously easy schedule. They have one playoff team from last year coming into Levi Stadium, which is good for wins, but bad for your ticket value. And that's the Rams. And the Niners generally and have in the past played very well against the Rams. So I don't even look at them as like, it's not like a top team. It's not like Philly's coming in or Detroit's coming in or anybody like that. So they play the last place schedule. So for everybody going, oh, they're done and they're fried and they have last place teams will do well, even if they're not that good, because the schedule's so easy and even the road schedule's easy. So they'll play the teams in the NFC West. Yeah. But they're not playing. Their schedule is going to be easy. Now we're going to look at stretches and there's going to be certain things. And yes, there's going to be injuries. And when you play the win-loss game, you're not taking any of those into consideration. So there'll be injuries. We didn't know Brandon Ayuk was going to sign his deal, then blow his knee. We didn't know that Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to be able to come back. And then when he did, he was going to get hurt in Buffalo, like any of those things. So we'll see. As far as the injuries, the football gods did not look favorably upon the 49ers last year. So that's a big part of this thing. Can they stay healthy? When the Niners stay healthy under Kyle Shanahan, bitch and moan all you want about them, they go to NFC Championship games and Super Bowls. Since they got their ship righted after 2018, so 17, 18, after they got some talent on this football team, starting in 19 Super Bowl, 20 injuries, 21, thanks to 𝐾𝐨𝐽 for dropping that ball, 22, lose to the Eagles because Brock gets hurt in the NFC Championship game, go to the Super Bowl, lose to Kansas City last year. So injuries, yeah, they're really bad. Not injured years under Kyle Shanahan since they got the ship righted in 2019. It's either NFC Championship game or Super Bowl. That's what they've done. And I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do because talent on defense suggests that they've got a ways to go there. But with a last place schedule, they're probably going to win 10 games. I mean, you can tell me I'm crazy, but on Wednesday night when we do this exercise, I'll probably pick 10 games only because the Rams are the only team at home that has a playoff, on their resume from last year. So we'll do that on Wednesday night. Do not miss it. So we're down to Martin NFL schedule. We would go Caboose, but I got to go back up here. Lamont Solution. Sorry, because I was asked the question about Gabe Davis, and you know me, I get thrown off course. So let's do this. All right, let's do this. Let me see. There's what are people saying? I got a solution for Lamont Wade Jr. because I'm solution oriented. Is what I am. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. That's what they do. They are the kings of the offseason. Nobody is even close. I would suggest that, Catalina. I would suggest that. Because, it's great to win those games, but Lord, it's a terrible schedule. It's like, oh my God, seriously? I got to go to this? I don't know how you're going to sell your tickets if you like doing that. Because we got friends that will sell regular season tickets, like if the Cowboys come to town or something, or the Chiefs or the Packers or something like that, or Steelers, somebody, a fan base that travels really well. They'll sell those tickets and they'll get, playoff tickets or something. They'll just use that. But yeah, not this year. The Rams fans aren't coming up here. No way. They never do. Who travels well? Seattle could. Seattle used to travel well. I don't know that they do anymore. Anyway, that's what's going on as far as the NFL. But let me give you a little bit of Giants thing before we jump today. And I've got a great Caboose pistol for you. It's an oldie but a goodie. So I want to be solution-based when it comes to Lamont Wade Jr. He's making me want to vomit every time he's up. So this is his line from yesterday. First at bat, fouls out. Second at bat, walk. Woo! That's about as good as he does. Struck out looking, struck out swinging. 145. 145. And we are 6 weeks. We're almost to the quarter pole, by the way. We're 6 weeks into the season. All right. Completely unacceptable. You're Bob Melvin. You like to stay with veterans. I totally get it. You're waiting. You have Bryce Eldridge in the wings, and you're thinking, we can't go out and get a first baseman and spend a ton of money on him because we have Bryce Eldridge in the wings, and what are we going to do here? I have the solution. But first and foremost, let's just acknowledge the fact that in the 7, 8, 9 in the batting order, when it's Lamont Wade Jr. hitting 145, when it's Patrick Bailey, great defender, just can't hit this year, and it's Christian Klaas, your 7, 8, and 9 in your lineup are basically like hitting three pitchers. They're just not good. It's just not good enough. And it's still crazy that the Giants are top 10 in runs And it's because they'll have a game like they did against the Cubs where in extra innings, they score 14. And then against the Twins, it's like 1-1-1. They did score 6 yesterday in the 7-6 loss. We'll get into Ryan Walker in a second, even though I don't have him on the board. But to me, I've got to make a phone call right away, and talk to the Milwaukee Brewers, who, let's be honest, Milwaukee's not very good. They got guys like Freddie Peralta, but they lose Corbin Burns and Willie Adames, and I give them a ton of credit. I mean, they stay at it every single year, but they're not in it. They're not in it. The Cubs are the best team in that division. Cubs have had some injuries to their pitching staff. They're not exactly infallible, but that's a really good offense. They're a major market team that's not up against the line. They could add pitching. I don't know if they will. So Milwaukee's not going to trade Rhys Hoskins right now. But Rhys Hoskins, as you can see right there, hitting 275, which, oh my God, can you imagine if your first baseman was hitting 275? Has 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, and that's a nice OPS of 805, above average. So he's a nice player, 32 years old, from Sacramento. So you look at his contract, Reed Hoskins. It's not cheap. The rest of this year, as you can see right there, $18 million. So you're going to pay, take a quarter of that off because we're at the quarter point of the season. So what are you going to take? About $4.5 million. Would that be right? Yeah, about 4. Yeah, God, I'm good with math. You take about $4.5 million off of that. So $13.5 million is what you owe Rhys Hoskins. Not going to put you over the line. Nice. And then next year's a mutual at $18 million. That means you'd have to agree with it too. And you probably won't if you're the Giants, unless he's absolutely great, or depending on how Bryce Eldridge does. But Bryce Eldridge is not going to be ready to be your everyday first baseman this year. You put Rhys Hoskins in there, Sacramento guy, would be really happy to come back. $13.5 million doesn't even put you to the line. You're in good shape there. You've solved first base. Plus, he's a right-handed hitter, which I like in this ballpark versus a left-handed hitter, Lamont Wade Jr. I know that makes you right-handed heavy. Don't care. Lamont Wade Jr. is hitting 145. And even though Rhys Hoskins has had injuries in the past, he's having a solid year this year with Milwaukee and done. Northern California guy. Be very happy to come home. Was with those Phillies teams that were really good. Veteran leadership, another good guy in the locker room. What are you waiting for? I don't care if, look, you're not giving up Bryce Eldridge for him. I understand that. Milwaukee's kind of in it, kind of not, but they're not really. And so right now, if I'm Buster Posey, I'm busting down the door of Milwaukee. What do you need? You need pitching, I'm sure. Everybody needs pitching. They have a lot of pitching in this farm system. Again, I don't know how much people like it, but we keep hearing the names, the Carson names, and Mason Black, who was up here last year. They've got some names there. They don't have a ton of position players, but still, what is Milwaukee looking for? I mean, they just lost their shortstop in Adames. Do they need a long-term guy there? There's a few in the Giants system, so our shortstops are concerned. They have enough to go out and get Rhys Hoskins. And at this point, you're going to have to pay for that. I went back and looked, by the way. So there's the contract. Not bad. $13.5 million mutual option next year that you would decline. Rhys Hoskins, 275, 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, and an 805 OPS. Could you imagine if you were getting that from first base? So now Hoskins at first base. When he comes back, Fitzgerald at second base, Adames at short, Chapman at third. Bailey can then suck with the stick in the, Ramos hit a couple of home runs in the Minnesota series. He's fine. Jung-Hoo is not going to hit 330, but he's solid enough. And Yastrzemski's having a great first half of the year. You add Hoskins, you can have Bailey doing whatever he's doing behind the plate. Fitzgerald to be back soon enough. So now all of a sudden you've got veterans. This is a team that can compete. Rhys Hoskins won a lot of games when he was with the Phillies. Just fine. He's got decent power. He can hit 20 home runs. So that's the solution. Buster, get on the horn. I know it's an overpay, but I looked this up this morning to double check. Last year, the Padres went out and got Luis Arraez on May 4th. Now, again, the deadline's end of July. Milwaukee's going to sit there and go, we think we're still in it, even though they're not. And they're going to go, we're just going to wait on Rhys Hoskins. Then you have to give him an offer he can't refuse. You have to. It has to be now. You can't have a 145 at first base. You cannot. And he's not a good defender, and he's not getting on base like he used to do. Like, there's just no value from Lamont Wade Jr. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. He has no trade. That's the thing is, like, you could tell Milwaukee, like, okay, we'll throw Lamont Wade in. They're like, we don't want him. So you're going to probably have to DFA Lamont Wade Jr. like the guy, 21. He was magical. Doesn't have it. I mean, it's not only that, like you saw that I just popped it up there. It's the bats are horrid. I mean, they're horrid, man. He's pushing and all this kind of stuff. I feel bad for the guy. But, I mean, my God, struck out twice, fouled out to first. in those 4 at-bats, and he's hitting $145. Like, we're 6 weeks into the season, dude. We're almost to the quarter point. Sorry. I know Bob Melvin likes veterans. I get it, man. But there's a guy out there right there from Northern California with an option on his contract that you can turn down next year who has an 805 OPS hit from the right side. You're right-handed heavy. I get it. You're right-handed heavy. Your first baseman, second baseman, shortstop, third baseman. You got a switch hitting catcher, right-handed hitting left fielder. Your only lefties in the lineup consistently are your center and right fielder. I get it. But Lamont Wade Jr. might as well bring a noodle to the plate. He's not hitting anything. Doesn't matter. He might as well bring a wiffle bat, whatever it is you want to compare it to. He's a non-starter. Go find Madison Bumgarner just to hit. Like, use the DH for him. I'd rather see a pitcher up there. We're using a DH for Lamont Wade Jr. I mean, my God, it's brutal. You know? I mean, the Casey Schmidt injury was too bad because you could at least try Casey Schmidt. David VR is clearly a 4A kind of a player. I'd rather see David VR. Like, just anybody but that guy. He's just, I don't know. Again, the thing that shocked me to this point is they haven't come up with some sort of a mystery strain. Like, Lamont Wade Jr. has a strain. Like, go work on it, man. He's not beyond going down to AAA. Like, go work on it. Get your confidence. Why the hell is he up here? He's hitting 145 with 2 strikeouts yesterday in completely non-competitive at-bats. Go to AAA and work on it. Go to AA and work on it. Wherever he's got to go work on it, stop. You're trying to contend with the Dodgers. You're trying to contend in the NL West. You're trying to contend for a wild card. We're a quarter of the way into the season. He's hitting $145 and strikes out twice yesterday. I'm sick of the sour face. Enough. One of two things. Either you overpay for a Rhys Hoskins right now, or you send him to AAA and you deal with David VR for a while. It can't be worse. I don't know how much longer. Like, he's a veteran. He's going to come around. No, you're not going to just keep banging his head against the wall. He's got to go down to Sacramento and find something, or wherever. Bring him, put him in Arizona. Go back to Arizona and work on some stuff. Something is like, let's just keep. He'll come out of it. No, he won't. The at bats aren't getting better. Sorry to yell, but it's frustrating watching Lamont Wade Jr. come to the plate and not do anything about it. You're not doing anything about it. Yeah, I mean, what does Lamont Wade Jr. weigh? Probably 200 pounds? I mean, he's not even close. $145? Not even close. No way, man. You can't do this. This is embarrassing. I mean, this tells you about your organization. We don't have anything better than a guy who's hitting $145 a quarter of the way into the season, and his at-bats are completely non-competitive? Huh? Like, Buster, let's go, dude. I don't care if he's a veteran. I don't care if he at one point hit 20 home runs. That was 2021. It's 4 years ago, man. He can't even be on the team. Like, dude, go to AAA and work on something. Clearly, whatever they're working with him here is not working. So for a lot of guys, it's go down, go hear a new voice, take the pressure off, go to SAC, hang out, and get your work in. And then you're going to start getting a few knocks down there, and that's where your confidence comes from. You're not going to get any confidence up here continuing to, a pop out and 2 strikeouts. Great. Ridiculous. Sorry. It's just, I've had it. We've been saying this for weeks. It's getting ridiculous. All right, there you go. So there is your Giants. There is your Niners. And there is a lot of Warriors talk, and you can give me your thoughts on any of those things today. Good morning to everyone. If I have not said good morning to you, I just saw you tripping again, but I said hello to you tripping. AJ Cruz is here. Hi, AJ. I don't know that I've seen you this morning. It's great to see you. All right, so let me explain the Caboose pistol today. I'm going to play the open in just a second here, but let me explain the Caboose pistol today, which is I was flipping. Let me find my music here. So I'm flipping around and I'm watching different videos, and then what happens, of course, and you do this all the time, I'm sure, on any kind of device that you're watching. I was watching on my phone or something, and I'm watching different videos, and then after one video, they just quickly get another one, so they try to hook you like a chain. So I'm watching this one, and this thing just popped up. I don't know if it was because I look at Caboose pistol stuff all the time or whatever the case, but I don't know what video I was watching, but I'm watching something, and then this pops up. So this is from 2011. I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't recent, but I had never seen it before. So maybe you have. So we're going to go back into I wouldn't even call it an archive because I didn't have it archived. I've never seen it. So we're going to go back to Fort Wayne, Indiana. All right. And what happens is it's some kind of a let me play the open for you first, because we got to make this all official. So time for your sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol.
John Lund Unleashed presents the Caboose pistol.
Wedged in the crack of her buttocks.
Somehow, someway, Lundo thinks this is the best way to leave a final impression on you for the day.
The old Caboose pistol, everybody has one.
Did you say Caboose?
I know some women who could hide a machine gun in there.
Yeah.
Leave me out of this, you weirdo. Here's John.
All right, I don't know anybody who can put a machine gun in there. Is that what you said, machine gun? I should know that by now. So like I said, this happened in 2011. I've never seen it. I've done the Caboose pistol, a version of it, since like 2011 to end every show, whether it be 95.7 or KMBR or radio shows. We called it different versions, but we've called it the Caboose pistol for 13, 14 years. And I've never, I don't know how I missed this story. And if I did play this story at some point at any of the stations I was at, I don't remember playing it. So anyway, this is in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they were going to name a government center after a former mayor of the town, but the mayor had a name that some would find offensive. I think it's funny, and I think they should have done this, but they didn't. So here's the news story on it was. Oh, by the way, it was a vote. So in Fort Wayne, Indiana, I guess there were different names you could call this government center, and they had a vote amongst the people, which is why you kind of don't make these things democratic. But they voted, and this is what the people came up with. So take a watch.
To be named after longtime Fort Wayne Mayor Harry Balls. The city says no way. But as News Channel 15's Chris Hopper found out today, whether the name is on the building or not, the jokes are still coming.
Yeah, Heather, there are nearly 20,000 votes for the Harry Balls Government Center. You can figure out why that's funny to people, and Fort Wayne doesn't want to be the target of late-night TV jokes, but it looks like it's too late for that.
An absolutely outrageous story from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Let me tell you what's happening in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They're having a little bit of a dilemma.
There's a guy who used to be the mayor of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And his name is Harry Balls.
ABC Morning News got the ball rolling yesterday.
His name would make some immature people snicker.
And then it was on to CBS Radio in Sacramento.
Hello, Justin. How are you? Welcome to the Harry Balls Show.
Then it made its way to late-night TV.
And the saddest part about this really is there was a real-life man named Harry Balls, and I never got to meet him.
I am not making it up. That was his name. Harold Balls, obviously, but...
You won't believe the newspaper headlines that are coming in on this story from all over the world. You can see this one here from Gather News as a little play on words. Over here, it's more of the same all the way from London, England. I won't read what they say, but you get the gist. Obviously, everybody's having a little bit of fun with this story. Fort Wayne wants a name for its new government building. It asked the people, and the Harry Balls Government Center is what it got. City officials say it'll never make its way to the side of the building, but how should they handle it? Well, we asked the experts over at Asher Advertising and Public Relations.
Yeah, whatever. That guy's a boring guy. If I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I voted, and you asked me to vote, and I said I wanted it to be named the Harry Balls Government Center, that's what it should be called. I think it'd be hilarious. I mean, be able to laugh at yourself. He's a former mayor. His name was Harry Balls, and you voted for Harry Balls, and now you won't make the center like to honor Harry Balls. And the one's like, if you're immature, it's funny. That's funny to everybody. I don't care what you say. That's funny to everybody. But anyway, by the way, just because I was curious and I looked this up, so they did not end up calling it the Harry Balls Government Center. They ended up naming it. I looked this up this morning. We renamed its government center Citizen Square. So not the Harry Balls Government Center. It was named Citizen Square. Well, the name was suggested through an online vote. The city officials chose Citizen Square due to concerns about potential ridicule from the media. New building will house blah, 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 blah. So they did not make it Harry Balls. They made it the Citizen Square Center, even though that didn't win the vote. The people wanted Harry Balls Government Center, and you asked them for their vote. What did you think they were going to say, by the way, Fort Wayne? What did you think they were going to say? Of course, they were going to make it the Harry Balls Government Center. So I'm sorry if I had reported that before. That goes back to 2011. It was a video I was watching. Like I said, I was watching another video. Then that video popped up, and I thought, I've never played this. So even though it's 15, 14 years old, still funny. And not just for immature people, for everybody. That's funny for everybody. I mean, the one news girl's like, for some immature people. No, that's funny. That's funny for everybody. Exactly. You had one job. How great would that would have been? Like, Fort Wayne is nothing. Like, what's out of Fort Wayne? Oh, I know Fort Wayne. You mean the place that has the Harry Balls Government Center? Why wouldn't you want to be that? That's funny. Like, that'd be great. It's like he was a former governor. Why not? Anyway, whatever. Should have went by Hank Balls. The one guy who's long gone. Ferguson, the old late night guy, said he was Harold Balls. Whatever. I mean, you would be mad at your name. You would be mad at your parents, wouldn't you? What should we name him, honey? We're going to name him after our grandpa, Harold. He'll be Harold Balls. Like, no. Plus, I'm changing that name. I wouldn't have a sense of humor about it. I would not have a sense of humor about it. But they should have done it. Because, like, you're nothing. Like, if you were the Harry Balls Center now, it's like, okay, nice. All right, very nice. So, anyway. Antonio, a couple of quick things. What's up? Giants got swept. No bueno. Dubs got to bounce back. Played strong enough to win. Got to step it up. Yeah, it wasn't a great weekend, as some people pointed out early. Minnesota gave it to us this weekend. We probably owed them because of the things they did, the nice things that the Timberwolves did to make the Warriors really, really good. But back in the day. But yeah, that was not a fun weekend that Minnesota gave us. Minnesota did not. There you go. Balls out, everybody. Very nice. It should have been the Harold Ball Center. They missed it. They totally missed it. Just blew it. What are you thinking, man? Come on. Got to be better. You just got to be better. That's what I would have voted for. And then I would have been mad if they hadn't done it. So there is your sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose pistol. I got to tell you, I tell you this every single day, a couple of times a day. My wife, shoulders feeling great, elbows feeling great. Was in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, walked everywhere. She's had problems with her foot. Here's the deal. It is my good friend, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿 in San Ramon, 𝐸𝐸𝐿 Sports Medicine. If you click on that QR code right there, you can feel great too. Not just telling you this. We have that freezer in the garage, and she hardly ever goes to ice anymore. Was always on the couch icing an elbow or a shoulder. She had an injury and her foot and walking around in Vegas, and it's all because of the stem cell that Dr. 𝐸𝐸𝐿 did. And I've told you this before. He's one of the first to do stem cell in the state of California. He's got it down pat, and it absolutely helps. Maybe you've had your blood spun before, that kind of a thing, but you put those stem cells in there and you're going to feel great. And again, that's me saying it. It's from personal experience from my wife. Absolutely great. So click on that QR code, or you can Google it, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿, 𝐸𝐸𝐿, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿 in San Ramon. Totally worth the drive if you're not in the East Bay. If you are in the East Bay, what are you waiting for? Make that appointment today. Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿, 𝐸𝐸𝐿 Sports Medicine. They do all sorts of great things there. Not only with the stem cell, but as I told you before, I do the low T. I did it week before last, got caught up on it again. I do it about every 4 months. They do a blood test for you. They check it, see where your levels are. They bring it right up to the levels that you need to be. It's not something that makes you crazy. You're not like you're 20 years old, but you just feel great. You have energy like you're supposed to have. You lose weight. Your metabolism's faster. At least this is what it's done for me. I'm just telling you my experience. I feel absolutely great. You just feel like yourself. I mean, it's a great thing every 4 months. Boom, boom, boom. Don't have to do the weeklies like I used to have to do before. Absolutely great. Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿 does that as well at 𝐸𝐸𝐿 Sports Medicine. They do all sorts of other great procedures, though. So for yourself, just check out the website. Do it right now. Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿, or you can Google it. If you can't, you're like, I'm not doing the QR thing. All you have to do is Google it. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿, 𝐸𝐸𝐿 Sports Medicine, 𝐸𝐸𝐿, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿 in San Ramon, and they do an amazing job. I cannot speak highly enough. In fact, when we started the show, we approached him and we said, look, man, we've had such great success doing things with you. We want you to be part of the show. And he was great enough to be part of the show. So please support our sponsors, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐸𝐸𝐿 and 𝐸𝐸𝐿 Sports Medicine right there in San Ramon. All right, that is episode 138. Can't go down 3-1. We'll do a post-game show tonight, so make sure you have those alerts on at John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Can't go down 3-1. Jimmy and JK, I think they're in the bank and will play well tonight. Be aggressive, need Buddy and Pods and others. Good Edwards scares me a little bit. Scored 28 in the second half of Game 3. Giannis, I knew you would ask, so there you go. Shams had the story this morning that he may want out of Milwaukee. We'll see if the Warriors don't win this series, if they lose 4-1. I could see them being aggressive, using Kaminga and others. Turner is the guy I would like. Miles Turner was great. I showed you that highlight package. My God, man. Can you imagine if he was on the Warriors? Second chance points, they got to stop that tonight. 26-14 was Minnesota in Game 3. So quick math, which we don't like on the show, plus 12. Dre fouls out. It's got to play under control tonight. The Lamont solution, Reese Hoskins, now. Not later, not July, not trade deadline, now. Martin, as in Nick Martin of the 49ers, NFL schedule will be released slowly, but Wednesday is going to be when we're going to do a Wednesday night schedule release party, you and I. So grab your beverages. We'll have some fun with that in the win-loss game. Caboose Pistol, an oldie but a goodie, and we always do random stuff throughout the show. Anything else we missed today? Like you said, like Dom says, Paulie and Tony are going to be jumping up with Polymax Particles at 11 a.m., so you only have an hour and a half until, or a little bit less. So grab yourself a beverage and some breakfast and come back for them on the Bay Area Sports Collective. Tommy's going to be here not only this afternoon, but also for post-game. So what I do is I jump on right after the game, and then because Tolbert's at the arena, it takes him a minute to come around, and then when Tommy jumps on, probably an hour or so later, then I jump off and Tommy jumps on, which is why you have to have the Bay Area Sports Collective on your list as well. So make sure that you do that. All right, what else do we got? I know he does. I got to get to Dr. Riopel to Steph, man. Does he know about stem cell? I don't know if that'll help hamstrings, but who knows? Try something. I don't know. He's got to get back. Let's see. The 1-4-20. Very nice that you got the Caboose today. Like I said, it's an oldie but a goodie, but I think it worked. I don't think I ever reported that story, and I'm shocked. Just shocked, man, that I have not. All right. Everybody else, thank you. Please like and subscribe like we always say around here. Everybody, immature people equal breathing people. 100%. 100%. All right. Every good stuff, man. We really appreciate you jumping in today, as always, on a Monday edition of the show. Thank you. You never take your viewership or your listenership, if you're listening on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, for granted. Thanks for watching on X today at John Lund Radio. Consider coming over to YouTube at John Lund Unleashed. Thanks for watching on Instagram today. Thanks for watching on Facebook. Remember, we can be friends. John Lund Unleashed and John Lund, my personal account on Facebook. Thanks for watching on LinkedIn today as well. Please consider coming over to YouTube and joining the community at John Lund Unleashed. John Lund Unleashed. And remember, JohnLundUnleashed.com. I've got a new piece coming out today on the blog on JohnLundUnleashed.com. So for all things Unleashed, shows, YouTube shows, archives, podcast archives, merchandise, blog, social media links, all those things at JohnLundUnleashed.com. Everybody have a great Monday. Happy Monday to you. We will talk tonight in the Warriors post-game show, Game 4 against the Timberwolves. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at JohnLundUnleashed.com. JohnLundUnleashed.com.
Goodbye!